Welcome friends, LostScarf here, and it's time for the Overwatch Hero Guide to Hanzo. He's one of the 3 snipers in the game. He's the one that can rely on the most luck if you really want to, but if you put in the work to understand how to play Hanzo and put in the practice, you can do so much work with him. You can win the game for your team. You can just wipe out teams if you know what you're doing. And this guide is here to help you get on that way towards there. As always, this is more geared towards beginners, but there might be something here that advanced expert players might not realize that might be helpful to them as well. As always, you should share these guides going forward. More people understanding more heroes in the game makes them better players, especially when you're like playing ranked and you have a teammate who only knows how to do 1 or 2 characters. If they know more characters, then you'll have a better position with teammates in ranked, so that'll be really good as well, and just in quick play in general as well. As always, we can go over just the history of Hanzo, kind of ideas of how to play him, abilities for Hanzo, modis for Hanzo, a lot of combat discussion going on, and of course tips and tricks for him. So, let's get going. So who is Hanzo? Hanzo was in line to become the head of the Shimada clan, a powerful criminal family. He was trained since youth to be a great assassin and leader. When his father died, the clan wanted him to bring his brother in line to help with the Shimada Empire. Hanzo ended up killing his brother for family duty, because Genji didn't want to do anything with him. Unhappy with what he did, Hanzo abandoned the Shimada clan and became a mercenary and assassin. Hanzo is a sniper. Your goal as a sniper is to kill the enemy at range, preferably with headshots, since that guarantees death for 17 heroes in the game. But even if you do fail to land headshots, 2 body shots will also do the job for you. The best snipers have the ability to wipe teams and make them think twice about being out in the open. Good snipers get some kills and keep the enemy cautious of where they are going, and okay snipers get a kill once in a while, and that's about it. Great Hanzos aren't just about great snipers though. Understanding Sonic Arrow to give your teammates information on the enemy locations, and using Scatter Arrow to kill around corners or badly damaged tanks are also very important. Lastly, his Dragon Strike can be great for wiping out enemy teams or forcing them to separate for your teammate to just take advantage of. Hanzo's abilities. So first up, we gotta talk about his one non-weapon ability, and that is Wall Climb. Hanzo can climb walls for high ground advantage, just like his brother Genji, and it can be very useful to just have high ground. You get better vision that way. Now let's talk about his weapon. That is his bow. This fires arrows 1 at a time. At uncharged, it does 29 damage. At fully charged, it does 125 damage. Headshots would be varying from 58 to 250 damage, depending on how long you held the shot. Now, these are projectile shots, so they take a moment to get to the destination, and arrows fall with gravity. It also depends on how much you charge the arrows, so keep that in mind when shooting at your enemies. Now, his left shift ability is called Sonic Arrow. This does the same damage as bow, and what happens is after the arrow hits a surface or an enemy hero, it stays at the location for a little bit and gives vision of that spot. You can also stick this to enemies like a tank or something, and it'll be mobile vision. Like, you'll get vision of whatever that tank's at because the arrow's stuck on them, which is a pretty funny thing you can do. But it just helps your teammates out with just more vision, and vision's always a good thing to have. Hanzo's E ability is called Scatter Arrow. Now, this does the same damage as the bow, but after the arrow hits an enemy or a surface, the arrow splits into 6 scatter arrows bouncing in a direction depending on the surface it hits. Now, each arrow does 75 damage each, no headshot damage. It has a full potential of 450 damage. This can be used very well to wreck tanks or to guarantee a kill on people if you want to get them with the scatter arrow instead of going for the headshot for whatever reason. And lastly is the ultimate Dragon Strike. Once again, you fire that arrow out, it does the same damage as your bow shots, but after 4 meters, the arrow turns into twin dragons that deal 200 damage per second, and they fly infinitely in the direction you aim them at. It also can go through walls, so this is a very useful ultimate for a lot of situations. Hanzo in combat. Something important is knowing when to shoot widely and when to shoot with a more controlled aim. There are Hanzo players who just shoot a lot of arrows out at the enemy and rely on general aim and some good luck to get kills. This style can go well sometimes, but not always, because you're really relying on luck there. Then there are Hanzo players who take the time to aim their shots and predict the enemy before they fire. They still have a chance of missing, but they are more relying on skill than luck to get the kill. Now, a great Hanzo is somewhere between these 2 extremes I just said, and in my opinion, if you're engaging a single enemy at any range, you should take the time to aim your shot. You see this all the time with Hanzos at close range. An enemy closes in on him, and he wildly fires and gets killed. The enemy needs to hit Hanzo a few times. Hanzo only needs to hit them once in the head. Unless they're a tank. Even if a tank closes in on Hanzo, he can kill all tanks in 3 headshots, or a well-placed scatter arrow and 1 headshot. Even with the non-tanks, a well-placed scatter shot can be used instead of a headshot to get the kill. Now, the only time I'll say you should shoot widely with uncharged arrows is if the enemy has like only about 50 HP left, so you're just shooting widely and hoping to get like a headshot or a body shot, then you can hit them with a melee, because you're doing 29 damage with body shots and 58 damage with a headshot, so that'll take them out if they only got like 2 blocks of HP left. Now, when you're engaging the enemy as a team, Hanzo can widely shoot into the crowd if he wants, As long as you know where the headshot line is when you're firing, with some luck you can get some kills or lots of damage. Still, you can take the time to control your shots to kill the enemy, or use the time while the enemy is still away to move to a flanking sniper position. When Hanzo is flanking the enemy, you definitely want to take the time to land your headshots. Once you take a shot, the enemy can turn around and converge on you. Kill them instantly one at a time, and prevent them from being able to deal with you or your allies on a different front. Then there's Hanzo's ultimate. This isn't just useful for killing the enemy, it can also be used in a great way to scare the enemy into a position for your team to take advantage of. Just be mindful of what your ultimate can do. It's not just for murder, it can also be used for mayhem. Hanzo's mode duties. Now in Capture, Hybrid, and Payload, on attack, usually the enemy team is going to have a defense set up somewhere, and they usually have a shield there as well. Now your choices are you can either try to shoot around the shield to kill people, or just shoot at the shield to help break it. Those are your options there. Or you can of course flank the enemy to try to kill them from other areas. At the same time, if you are just attacking in front of the shield, you should use your sonic arrow to keep an eye on the flanks, and your scatter arrow to try to kill people or wound people as you're going forward. Again, talking about the flank position here, if you're flanking the enemy, you should be trying to, of course, kill the shield, or at least wound them badly, or kill their healer. Just kill whoever you can if you're flanking, just to have that front line be weaker for your team to come through and take the point. Now, when you're trying to take the point, there's enemies on the point, obviously, try to kill them as well. When you're on the point itself, you're shooting at the enemies as they're trickling in to try to stop the capture. And you usually have a good idea where they're coming from, because the maps usually only have one or two ways a team can come to try to stop the point capture. Unless, of course, it's symmetric, that'll just make it a little more complicated, of course. Now, for payload, your options are to either attack from behind the payload, or flank the enemy position as they're trying to come in and stop the payload push. So usually you're attacking from behind the payload, and using the payload as cover to protect you from the enemy, or you're perpendicular to the enemy as they're running in towards the payload and shooting at them, picking them off as they're trying to stop your payload push. And as always, you can use the Dragon Strike to kill the enemy, or to just scare them into a better situation for your team. Now when it comes to defense, of course you're usually going to have a shield wall just protecting a position before the point, so you can shoot from behind the shield to try to kill enemies if you want, or go for high ground, or flank to snipe the enemy from different positions. Those are options you can have. Again, you're using the sonic arrow to keep an eye on the flanks, and scatter arrow to kill any enemies or wound them as you see fit. Now, if the enemy gets on the point, your job, of course, is to snipe them off the point. Simple as that. Now, if it's a payload situation, you're trying to snipe the enemy off the payload or catch any flankers that may be in your view. You can attack the payload straight on, or flank and attack the enemy while they're busy with allies. That's usually what you're doing with the sniper, and that's an option, of course, for Hanzo. Now, since you always know where the payload is, this is important. You can Dragon Strike the payload from behind walls to surprise the enemy. This is something I really enjoy doing. Since you always know where the payload is in the game, offense and on defense, if you can figure out where the enemy is or get vision on them, you can catch them from somewhere way out of nowhere with the wall. They don't see it coming, and you kill them all or kill a bunch of enemies. Now, when it comes to control, you want to kill the enemy as much as possible before the point even becomes available. Once it's available, you want to take the point and just kill the enemies by flanking them while they're trying to take the point from you, or just killing them from the point. And of course, when you're trying to take the point, snipe the enemies on the point. Like, it's very simple for Hanzo. Kill things. That's usually what you're doing. Now, Dragon Strike can be used to wipe out the enemy or scare them off the point to help your team. And since most maps usually have walls, there's a lot of places you can scare them with just using the ultimate through a wall. That's something you can think about. Tips and tricks with Hanzo. Something people don't think about with the snipers is their presence. Because a sniper can instantly kill most people in this game, they can make a team overly cautious. But sometimes it's better to sneak to a sniper position to pick off the enemy. So you want to keep in mind that sometimes just being around can affect how the enemy fights. It'll affect just how they feel about a certain spot. So, like, you want to shoot it down an alley or somewhere, make sure they know your presence, then leave there and just go flank somewhere else, because they're now just really scared about that one spot. That is something you can do as a sniper. Now, rattling off a bunch of tips. Wall climb for higher ground advantage when possible. It's just harder to get hit when you're up in high ground, and you just have better vantage point of just seeing what you can shoot at. Use practice range and custom matches with AIs to improve at Hanzo when starting out. This is just important. Just getting a good taste of how to play Hanzo. I feel just go with the bots. Now, if you know you can kill the enemy with a body shot, go for the body shot. Some people like to only go for headshots. Go for the body shot if you know you can kill them with that, instead of wasting time for the headshot, because now you can just use that time for something else. Now, it is important to use Sonic Arrow whenever you think the enemy may flank a position. Just put that arrow in that spot, now you know there's an enemy there or no enemy there, and that'll be just great for you and your teammates. But also, if there is an enemy there, you can use that information to line up a headshot and just kill that enemy. Now, something concerning is I do see Hanzo players who never use Scatter Arrow, and you should always use Scatter Arrow whenever you feel like it'll work out. You can use this to instantly kill a lot of people, you can use this to horribly wound tanks, and also just kill around corners. Just don't forget that you have Scatter Arrow, because sometimes people do. Now, the rest of these tips have to do with Dragon Strike, and the first one's got to be it's great for killing and distraction. I keep saying this over and over again because I want to hammer it in that you can kill with it, but you can also distract with it. Next one is it goes through walls. Some people don't realize it goes through walls. This is a very useful thing you can do with it. Like I said before, know where the payload is? You can attack the enemy beyond the payload through walls. It can be scary when you do it right. Now, when it comes to counters, Genji and D.Va can ruin Dragon Strike. Genji can bounce it back and use it on your team. D.Va can just eat the arrow and then Dragon Strike doesn't come out. And lastly, Hanzo plus Zarya, ultimate OTP. These two together, Zarya just puts all in one spot with her ultimate, and then Hanzo's ultimate kills everything. The only one that can stop it is nobody if you're far enough away, because it's the arrow that gets deflected by Genji and it gets eaten by D.Va. As long as you're far enough away that they can't stop that arrow from coming, you'll kill them all during Zarya's ultimate. It is amazing. The only thing that can stop this combo is other ultimates. In conclusion, Hanzo's a sniper that is capable of killing 17 heroes instantly with one headshot. He can be scary effective in the right hands, but it takes lots of practice. Not only should you learn how to land headshots, but also how to deal with close combat situations, when to use Sonic Arrow, and how to properly aim Scatter Arrow, and of course, finding the right time to use Dragon Strike. The most important thing you can do to improve as Hanzo is practice to make perfect. So there you go, that right there is the guide for Hanzo, just telling you a lot of information there. He is just capable of killing so many people, just keep that in mind. Don't panic when you're Hanzo. Be calm, be precise, and you can do so much work with Hanzo. Now, as always, I feel you should, if you need to, just watch the video one or more times, just to be sure you got everything, and of course, share it with other people. The more people who understand different heroes in the game, the better they'll be in the game in general, because they have just more heroes they can play, especially if someone just takes a hero they like to play, but they still want to win the game with some variety with the heroes. So, that's an important thing. And also, just having more opponents that are good at more heroes just means just better combat in general for everybody. That's how I feel about it, and that's why I'm making all these guides. So up next is going to be Roadhog, and that should be a lot of fun. It's all about the hook with him, but also just knowing how to be tanky, and just knowing how to take certain shots in this game to do some work with him. So, there you go, that right there is the guide I had fun making. I hope you had fun watching it and learning from it, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.